Hello and welcome to Across the Pond WNBA. We are back. We did miss a week. Apologies about that, but vacations kind of get in the way of things. Back with Michelle, which is awesome. It's great to be back with you. But you went to Tennessee, Michelle, and I'm going to tease something for our fans. So everyone loves their WNBA content. There's no question. They wouldn't be listening otherwise. But we're going to have something coming up in about a month or so's time that, it's nice to know where these players came from. And so we may have a little podcast coming along that may actually cover college hoops um,
Woo!
farther down the line. So maybe in a month or so's time, we may have that podcast, or maybe even sooner, because I know the two people that want to do it are like desperate to get into it because this is going to be an exciting year for college basketball because, we have two expansion teams coming next year means extra spots, means I think the competition at the college level is gonna be, like, ramped up.
I think it's going to be amazing. I would love to see a college podcast, especially with the fundamentals, how true it is to the game. And to be honest, there's such a big fan base there as well. And you can watch the transition of players over an extended period of time. Also, you can see the difference in the two games as well.
Yes, very much so, and we do have some bad news, though, in the UK, that is. Um, the channel that shows all college sports and has done for about 15 years was bought over, and as part of their kind of rebrand and everything else, the weekend before college football kicked off, they cancelled all of college sports. So we now have to try and find other methods of viewing said sports. So poor Gareth, who does our college football podcast from England, uh, he has been VPNing and all that kind of stuff, trying to watch games. But bit of a nightmare. But there's always workarounds. It's all good, and it'll be the same for college basketball as well, which I think is awesome. I think this is going to. I think this is probably one of the best years to do it because I think the college game is just so exciting just now, with all the talent that is there and that we've seen over the last couple of years. However, let's move on to the now in the WNBA. It's awards season, Michelle, and we have seen a number of awards kind of being given out, which has been nice. We are due to have the MVP award on the 26th, which is just coming up on Tuesday. We'll then have Rookie of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year is due for the 5th of October, but that was just announced today, so they got their scheduling wrong. And then it'll be the WNBA all WNBA teams that will be announced on the 13th of October. So two players from the Aces, Michelle, Alicia Clark, Sixth Player of the Year, and our very own Asia Wilson, Defensive Player of the Year. Two massive awards going the Aces way. Does this mean MVP could be heading to Vegas as well?
I'm going to be honest. First, congratulations to Alicia Clark. Well deserved. She worked her butt off. Definitely deserves Sixth Player of the Year. Been phenomenal coming off the bench and just bringing a spark and an edge to that team all year long. So, definitely going to give her a ton of credit. We already know that when we look at Asia Wilson, she's the Defensive Player of the Year. And I'll be honest, I can't even congratulate her this year. I can't do it. I cannot. I can't because I think that was a cop out by the league. You couldn't give it to some of the other MVP candidates, and it was almost like let's share the wealth a bit versus if you're the best defensive player and you're the best offensive player, so just put a 38 to get her team to the league or to the finals, semifinals. And I think she definitely deserves to be in that conversation, but I guarantee you she won't get MVP. And that is why they moved the date up to give out Defensive Player of the Year. This is just me playing logistics, putting on both hats. It's cool. She got it, but I think it is also a backhanded slap at the same time as well. She definitely is in that MVP category. She has outplayed Brianna Stewart when we look at the stats But I think when they can keep both people happy, I think that's what it's going to end up being this year. I would love to just know, like, what are your thoughts on that? And how do we start? Like, do we get to a point in the game where if you're the best, like Katie says, period?
I think there's a thing, and like I'll reference the NBA for this. Without a shadow of a doubt, through you know, I don't know, 2005 onwards, LeBron James was the best player in the NBA, without doubt. How many MVP trophies does he have? Not very many, not as many as he should. So I do kind of feel like there should be two awards. Yes, you have your MVP, but then you have your player of the year, the player that has contributed the most to a team's success. Because I think if you had that, LeBron James would have won it every year. I think he would have had player of the year every year without a doubt, and you'd still have your MVP, your James Hardens. Don't know how that works, but but you would have had that recognition for LeBron. Because look, LeBron James has scored more points than any other player in NBA history, but yeah, has a couple of MVPs. For me, just doesn't make sense.
So, okay, you can't bring that up and not say who player of the year would be because it could go to a lot of people now. We're saying who contributed to a team's individual success. Who would it
A
be?
and I'm going Alyssa Thomas.
I was actually gonna say, I would actually say Alyssa Thomas. I actually think if you're not gonna give it to Asia, you should go to Alyssa Thomas for MVP as well. Although, I just think that market, I hope it doesn't hurt her, and I hope she actually gets it this year.
Well, let's talk coach of the year, because coach of the year went to Connecticut, and I was over the moon by this because one, yeah, we do always talk that Connecticut are treated like the ugly stepchild of the East
Hmm.
compared to the Liberty. So I thought this was really good, and I think she is absolute value for coach of the year. I think it would have been a cop out to give it to Sandy or to Becky, but the fact that they gave it out to Connecticut was, I think that was the right thing to do.
Agreed. When you look at a team, this is going to be what their fifth semifinals in a short period of time. They've turned this franchise around. They're playing great. When you look at the systems that they have in place, the players that she's brought in as a coach, I look at how she thinks and sees the game, and she's one of the reasons that people have said the Liberty are not a shoe in to get to the finals. They have to get through Connecticut, and at some point, Connecticut is going to get over that hump because we've been talking about this for 3 years, and it's like, is this the year? And I'm glad that award came out beforehand. I think Becky won it. They won a championship. That was great. I really did think Sandy Brondello was going to get it, though. I have to be honest.
I did think that as well, but I think the fact that you lose Jones to the Liberty and you are still able to put out a team that is a bona fide challenger for the finals. Like, and they have been all season. There's never been a question all season that they were a team that were going to have a hard push in the playoffs, and they've proven that. They had a bit of a stumble in the first round, but they got through that. And sometimes championship teams don't sweep series. Like, it was nice that the Aces did it, but that doesn't always mean that you're going to win the championship at the end. It means you've had a bit more rest than everyone else, right enough. But I was really happy for Stephanie. I think what she's been able to do with the Sun has been phenomenal.
100% agree. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like we've already been seeing the finals with some of the games that have gone on. So I'm really excited to see what she does in this next round because I've said I think that they could truly upset the Liberty. I think they could walk away with this series this year.
Yeah. Talking about the Liberty, I love that easy transitions today. Executive of the Year, Jonathan Kolb, of the New York Liberty. He won Executive of the Year. Now, let's be honest, like, look at the team that he was able to provide Sandy with this year. He brought in Brianna Stewart, Courtney Vandersloot, like, and let's be honest, like, Ali Quigley has taken this year out. I put my money on that she turns up in a Liberty uniform next year. So, like, he probably gets it a little bit for, you're gonna have that backcourt backing up Sabrina. I mean, that's pretty. I think that'd be pretty special.
I think it'd be amazing when we look at a team that can shoot the lights out, and like you said, he pulled off coup of the year. Okay, Becky did it the year before. He said, "Let me steal that game plan." I think they have an amazing looking team, and the one thing I will say is that he didn't stop with the starting lineup. They have depth, something that many teams that are in these playoffs right now don't have, and it could be the saving grace for this team to win their first championship.
We have said on the Aces podcast a number of times that Becky doesn't utilize the bench enough for the bench players to get enough minutes. And yeah, that's going to be noticed by us, and we hope it's not to detriment later down the line because like your bench players, if they're only playing 2-3 minutes a game, like they're not getting enough. Whereas with New York, they are just ringing the changes. Don't get me wrong, Alicia Clark has been absolutely phenomenal off the bench for the Aces, but that's really the only player that's kind of been utilized to their full potential.
If you, if, but if they had their full bench, she would be a seventh option. It would be Candace in the lineup. So Kia coming off the bench, Raquana Williams coming in next, and then Alicia Clark, which does give them depth. So they did have it.
Yeah.
It's just they've had some injuries, some issues off the court, and other things that have cut them down. Someone said that it put a micro hole in their chances of winning, losing Candace Parker. I said no, it didn't. It ripped the heart out. That was the heart of their defense. That person that could play all five positions. But then when you take Raquana out of that picture too, absolutely.
Well,
So
I mean, that's somebody that can
New
just
York
turn
is
up
healthy.
in a game.
Absolutely. In New York, they've been able to stay healthy. They're starting to play together. And that was one of the things we said as well in the beginning was the more reps that they could get, because that is a good mesh of veteran and youth players. And I think that's going to help them as well, having that bench, being able to shoot the three and extend defenses. That's their saving grace too. But he's done a phenomenal job putting his team together. And he absolutely deserved that award.
Yeah, I think the Liberty have really put the pieces together.
Mhm.
Brian Sandy the year before, and to be fair, he already started building that bench
Mhm.
last year,
He did.
and then really just finished it off this year. To be fair, next year is a breeze for him. Like he's got an easy year next year because they
Yeah.
keep they keep signing their players to like long term deals. So
And we thought it would take him 5 years. He did it in three.
yeah, yeah,
So
you- yeah.
kudos, absolutely.
Hats off to him. However, we will stay with the Liberty. Wasn't quite that easy, against the Mystics in that
Ooh,
first round, was it? That Natasha Cloud came out before the game and
oh,
said, pretty much, "I'm gonna have Sabrina in my
oh.
pocket," and it was not an easy night for the Liberty at all.
Not only did she say it, she backed it up and gave her a hug afterwards and was like, "Iron sharpens iron." I have to say, that was the part that made me feel like, man, this is the finals. Because we also said the Mystics had a chance of upsetting the Liberty, and they were right there on the brink of it. I thought that was one of the best games I've watched all season. Went to overtime. And one, I love how Natasha came out and set the tone for the Mystics. And that's another team when we look at injuries with Della Donnelly playing 17 games this season. When we look at the other players that have been out as well, they've been down a couple of players. So for them to lose three starters,
Yeah, 3.
they lost three starters and took it to overtime with a second round draft pick who played like she was going for MVP. It was amazing to watch, absolutely amazing to watch, and then I loved the respect that she showed afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
she played her game, but then she went up to Ionescu and just, gave her that hug and said, "What you done for our game, what you do for this league." Like, I thought it was well round, and I have to say, the Liberty, they did what it took. Brianna hit some big shots. She struggled that night again, but she still hit enough shots to put them over the edge. I think that's a team that there's so many weapons on the Liberty that on any given night, a different person can stand up and beat you, and that has happened consistently all year. So They deserve the win. Their depth paid off. But you got to give a lot of respect to the Mystics and how they showed up as a team, and to Natasha Cloud for putting that team on her back and going to work.
It was it could have been it could have been a finals. It really could have. I think Natasha was absolutely phenomenal. And I know, like, online and stuff, she got a lot of praise on Twitter. I know, like, in recent weeks and months, she's a bit of a target on her back online. But so it was nice to see that kind of flip around and kind of be like, you know what, you did what you said you were going to do. How many players just now,
Woo.
like, can say they can go out and say something and then actually go ahead and do it? Yeah, she did put that team on her back and she carried them. And you kind of you you had that little throat kind of thing that starts something, like, because you really wanted them to do it because they just worked so hard. Natasha's, I do think, like, she's the heartbeat. Oh, I
Mm,
think Elena Deldon, when she's there and she's fit and she's healthy, is the brains of that team. But I think Natasha is the heart of that team.
absolutely. And she held it to 11-5. So
Not
okay.
easy, not
All
not
right.
not easy at all. Uh, so sadly, the Mystics bowed out
Yes.
in that one, and that was a shame. Now, another team that is going to be playing this Sunday against the Aces is the Dallas Wings, and one of their players, who is another phenomenal player, is Satou Sabally, who plays for the Dallas Wings
Mhm.
and has played for the Oregon Ducks. So, um, out in Oregon, which is obviously near you as well, which is awesome. Um, but she was born in New York City, but I think her nationality, she's got three of them. She's got German, Gambian, and American. Make of that as what you will. She did go to high school in Germany, in Freiburg, and then obviously went on to college at Oregon. She was drafted in 2020 with a first round second overall pick by the Dallas Wings. And she has also played abroad. She's played in Turkey for Fenerbahce as well. So, again, another player who uses her winter to go and play abroad. But she is a two-time WNBA All-Star. She made the rookie team. She's a EuroLeague champion, three-time Turkish League champion, a EuroLeague first-time all team, and a second team All American as well. So, like, I think she's destined for great. She has a long career ahead of her, and she's just such a phenomenal player. And what I really like this year is she's got the coach this year. I feel like she's a little unlucky, like, and I don't want to bang on coaches, but Latricia Tramwell seems to know how to get the best out of her, like, for the entire game, not just, oh, like, we'll have you in for this, we'll have you in for that, and we'll look at other players and other options. They really are hammering at Satu to be that leader on the floor at such a young age.
As they should. She's already shown that she has the capabilities to do so. I thought the best part was when she went to her coach last year at the end of the season and just said, "I'm going to dedicate this off season to becoming the absolute best that I can be." She got a new trainer, one of the best trainers out there, and changed how she recovered, how she set up, how she entered games mentally. She even changed how she physically looked when she came back into this season. And when you, like you said, her coach looked at her and said, "You've done the work. Now it's just a matter of me putting you in a position to be successful." I think not only did she do that, but you hit on a very important point. She put the confidence in her that not only do we believe that you're great and you're going to get playing time, but you need to be in a leading role and to start to take over things here in this franchise. And you have the ability to do so. We're going to position you to do that. And she's done a phenomenal job. She even had some MVP balance, I heard. Just saying, I'm just saying. And got most improved.
Yeah, most improved player this year, which I think that just goes to that, taking the off season and putting in the work. We see it in other sports when other players do it. They've maybe had a down year, they've not put up that many points or whatever, and then, like, they know themselves that, like, they need to do better and they can do better. And I think I think the coaching staff has really instilled in her confidence, and she's just kind of ran with it. And she's a great. I mean, I think she was a great player to watch anyway. But this year, like when I've got obviously WNBA League Pass. We only get like one game live here in the UK on TV. So when I watch League Pass, if obviously I watch the Aces, but if the Aces aren't on and it's a Wings game, I'll turn on a Wings game and I will happily sit and watch a Dallas Wings game. They're like my League Pass kind of reserve team if the Aces aren't playing.
Gumbawale is fun to watch. And you got Satou. They've got an amazing team. They got some names there that are really going to kind of bring that team together. I think next season is what I'm looking forward to with them. I think they're going to be a really good team to watch, fun, and they're going to make a run in that playoffs.
Well, I think they were another team at the beginning of this season.
Yeah.
We thought this isn't going to be their year, but in 2 years,
Yep.
once this team has been together for a while, Latricia's been there for a while, and they grow together. In 2 years, this is going to be like a team heading for the finals. And in actual fact, they're already in the semifinals. So again, this is another team, maybe a bit like Connecticut, maybe a bit like the Liberty, that have really kind of jumped the gun. And I think Dallas this year, they're I wouldn't say surprise team of the year, but I think they are a team that has surprised a lot of other teams. They
Yes.
beat the Aces.
Yeah.
They've beaten the big guns. So they've gone out and shown they can do it. And when we went into the playoffs, my worry was, do we get the Wings? Because if we get the Wings, they've already proven that they can beat us.
Hmm.
Is that going to be an issue in the semifinals? And so I do think they will take a game from us in the semis, but I'm pretty hopeful. I'm pretty confident we can still win.
Same. Same.
I think so. Now, um, let's have a look at these semifinals. So we'll look at the Liberty and the Sun first.
Okay.
We've seen these two teams match up pretty well this year,
Yes.
but the Sun are a team like when you got Dewana Bonner. Oh my god, like
Ooh.
she she doesn't take a play off. Like
Nope.
she does not take a play off. I have never seen someone like be a two-way player like she is, where they just for the full time they're on the floor, she does not stop moving.
I love it. I think her game is amazing. She plays both ends of the floor. I think she is the new age version of Tamika Catchings, who set the tone for playing both ends of the floor at a high level. And Dewana Bonner is definitely that person. She can turn things around. And when you team her up with Alyssa, come on. This is unfair.
Yeah, I mean they have had some injury issues this year
Mhm.
as well. The Sun, but again they are a forgotten team in the East because of the Liberty. Should the Liberty be worried? Like, legitimately, should the Liberty be worried? I just mentioned obviously the Wings being a bit scary for the Aces, but is there a possibility in this world that we see a Wings Sun finals?
There is. There absolutely is for several reasons. I think you said I'll answer the first question first. The Sun, I mean, I can't think of starving someone this long. 5 semifinals and you haven't gotten there yet. They have to be so full of determination. They've already shown they're resilient. They've already shown that they can play with the best of the best. They have the players to do it. They have the coaching. I think now it's can you run them off of the 3-point line because you're front court loaded. The other team, they're opposites in so many ways. You want to run and gun, they want to slow the game down and shoot the three if you're the Liberty. So it will be who can control the tempo of that game. I believe Connecticut can do it. I do believe they could pull it off. It really just comes down to the Liberty are going to have to be consistent. Someone has to show up. It's been a different person every night. Now it's the playoffs. Do those younger players, do they have the legs? Do they have the energy? We know we've heard about them resting players and things like that. That will be interesting against a run and gun team like Connecticut. When I look at the Dallas Wings and their bench and all the things that they have, When you look at Satou, who went from 23% at the 3-point line to now shooting 36, I think it's 36.1%, she's going to pull Asia out just like Asia always does with everyone else. It'll be interesting because now she's pulling Kia Stokes out of the paint for easy buckets for Agumbawale, which we saw in the first win. I think it could happen, but it will only happen if the team that is 1 and 2, if they don't come to play. And they have to come to play. For the aces, all five have to come to play because your bench is very short and you don't have any room. For the Liberty, they have a little more leeway because they have a few more people that they can count on, but it's going to be, for me, their legs. And are they going to be able to keep up and still put the threes away deep in the season when you're already fatigued against this Connecticut team? That will be the interesting part for me. I think the battle in the paint will be interesting. Mama Steph against the big guns. It is going to be an athlete versus that cornbread. I'm just going to take you out and take the ball. I think you got two great series to watch, and it's going to be fun because Mama Steph's got her personality. They have theirs with Connecticut. Same when you look at Dallas and Aces. I'm sorry, anybody that isn't tuning in to every game in this playoffs, you're not a fan. Something's wrong. You don't love basketball because this is going to be some great basketball, and we could very well end up with both of those teams in the finals. I don't think it'll happen, but it could happen.
My only rebuttal is like it's the game's on at 3 a.m. I watch it in the morning when I wake up. Like,
As long as you
it's
watch
just
it. As long as you watch it.
it's my only rebuttal. But I think you're absolutely right. I think Connecticut are dangerous, and I think if they can run the Liberty off the floor, which I believe that they can do,
Mhm.
like I have no question about that. I think they can run the Liberty right out of town, and it's you sometimes see live and die by the three, and this could be the series where we see whether the Liberty can actually do that. We've seen them in games sometimes this season where there's games they could have lost because
Yep.
their threes weren't falling. And I think one of them was against the Sun as well. So the Sun know how to play this team, and I think that's what makes this league so good. Like the teams play each other so many times. It it's right, we know exactly what you're gonna do. "Oh, no, you've changed this up. Oh, okay, right, okay, now how do we adapt?" So, I think it'll be about who adapts first, but I think we will see Connecticut just run right at the Liberty. Like we say about my big mama Steph, I think, yeah, that like, I used to be one of those guys, like 5'8", thinking, "Yeah, I can jump from the free throw line," and I would just throw my body, like, from the free throw line, and people would move out of the way because I was kinda chunky. So, like, they didn't wanna get hurt, so they just get out of the way. But Big Mama Steph, like, I can imagine if I did that same thing, like, she'd just take a charge. She would just take a charge and then probably, like, power bomb me to the floor.
I
Like,
was gonna say, I
how
give you
dare
the
you?
power.
How dare you try this on me? But but and with the aces and the wings, I think what worries me the most again is the depth. I think their bench is seasoned because I think they have played all season. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'd make a change on the Aces starting lineup. I
Ooh,
wouldn't
I wanna
start.
hear this.
I would move Asia to the five. I would bring in Alicia Clark and drop Kia Stokes. Not popular opinion, but I think for the rest of these playoffs, that is how I would do it because I think Alicia Clark there's there's just more productivity from her than from Kia, and I think we know that Asia is an amazing defensive player, and against Dallas and against New York anyway, assuming that it's New York in the finals, I think that would be a good matchup for Asia, one that she would win, but on the same time, like I think Alicia Clark would win hers, whereas Kia kind of worries me. I don't think she's got it against
So,
like a Brianna Stewart.
okay, she hasn't made it to Brianna yet. She gotta get past Satu
Well,
first.
well,
So you're
exactly.
putting Asia on Satu.
Yeah, tough.
Tough, but if you do that, I think the boards go to the wings.
because Satou pulls out
She
Asia.
cancels out Asia. And one thing I will say, Kia Stokes is averaging 12 rebounds per game. And
She
to
is
be
rebounding
honest,
well.
they've been winning and got to a championship and everything with her
Ah,
averaging 2 points per game.
yeah. Well, that's the thing.
It
It,
it hurts, it does hurt. You're right,
yeah.
it does, because they don't have that second scorer. And Alicia does rebound. Please do not mistake this for she can't do it, because I'm definitely not saying that. I'm just saying I think it puts a hole in the front court. I don't know. I would maybe try putting Alicia at the 3 to guard the 3 because she could do it. I know she could do it. I've seen her do it for years.
Oh, we seen Asia play the five last year,
We
and it
did.
worked.
It did.
It worked.
I go, do we wear her out though? Doing that on both ends of the floor as well, late in the season on a team that has no depth to rest her.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I go, that makes me nervous because now she is banging for 40 on both ends of the floor as an undersized 5. It's not like it's a fair matchup. I don't know. I think it's interesting, but I mean, you play small ball, sometimes it works to your advantage. If your guards come back and rebound, I say it's worth a try. I think, and the one thing I do love about the playoffs is coaches are going to try different lineups and different things. So it will be interesting to see what Becky does do. If
Yeah.
Raquana repels out of the floor, out of the ceiling into the game, I would not be shocked.
Well, here's another thing. Candace Parker is on the playoff poster
I saw that. I know. I saw
for
it.
for the Aces. So I'm just saying, like, maybe Candace Parker repels down too.
Yo, I promise you, I will faint. Be like, I'm done. I would be like, the league is scripted.
Awesome. Right. So I think we really can't decide right now who's going to make the finals. I think yes, we have a good idea that it's going to be the Liberty and the Aces, but really both
I
the
think
Sun
Sun
and the
and Aces.
Wings.
I'm
Yeah.
calling Sun and Aces.
So and this is the thing, like even the Wings could put a spanner in the
They
works
could.
and the Aces themselves. So I'm gonna go Liberty Aces. You're gonna go Sun Aces. So we'll see how that ends up. But for the moment, we will bid you farewell.
Wait,
We
wait,
will
wait,
be.
wait, 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 wait,
Whoa,
wait, wait,
whoa, whoa, whoa! What happened?
wait. Fans, I just want you to know that last year I won the bet and I did not get my double fried Oreos. Number one. So this year is double or nothing. And when I win the bet again, we're going to watch him live send me my Oreos.
I'll have to. You know we don't get the good Oreos, right? Like in the UK.
You can order them from somewhere in New York and have them sent to Oregon.
Shipped to Oregon. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like in the UK, we everything that's like really sugary that comes from the States, we get watered down, so it's not as sugary. That's why Fruit Loops. Now, anyone who knows me knows I love Fruit Loops. They
And
tried to sell,
Popeyes.
and I know when Oh, by the way, Popeyes just opened this week, um, in Glasgow. Public service announcement, really, that Popeyes opened in Glasgow. Everyone should go. There was a 2-hour line out
Wow.
outside Popeyes, so it is already popular. But Fruit Loops, I know this is totally off topic. I'm a
Okay.
Fruit Loops guy,
I'll send you the real Fruit Loops.
but they tried to sell Fruit Loops over here, but because of British government stuff, they're not allowed to have as cereals aren't allowed to have as much sugar as they do in the States. So it tasted like cardboard. It was terrible. It was horrible. I bought 4 boxes of them thinking they would be the real deal, and, like, all 4 boxes got thrown in the bin. I was not happy.
So if I shipped you 4 boxes because you won, they wouldn't make it through customs, huh?
Oh, yeah, they'd make it through customs, yeah. No, I just mean as retailers, they're not allowed to sell, like, high sugar content stuff. It's like full sugar drinks in the UK, like, there's a tax on them. So you actually have to pay more for a full fat Coke than you do, like, a Coke Zero or something.
They should do that in the US. They make a lot of money. I'm not gonna suggest that. Let me stop.
Don't suggest that, Jesus, there's enough taxes going around.
Send me my
And
Oreos.
I'll send you yours. And on that bombshell, we will leave it there. We will be back next week. Well, by that point, we'll be couple of games in to the playoffs, which is really exciting. So if you are in the UK, There is some games being shown on Sunday. And for the rest of it, you'll have to watch it on League Pass. And obviously in the US, check your local listings. And we will be back next week.